Hi, my name's Neil Davis and I'm the founder of Digital Cloud Training. This video is an excerpt from our upcoming course for the AWS Certified Solutions Architect Associate certification that is made up almost entirely of hands-on labs. Over 20 hours of practical exercises to give you the knowledge and experience to pass your exam. I hope you enjoy the video, and for more information about our courses, check out our social media. Hi guys, in this lab we're going to create a custom VPC. So the great thing is you've got to this point in the course and you've already done quite a few of these things. So you already understand public and private subnets. You already understand about route tables, NAT gateways, internet gateways, and you've seen into some of the route tables and how we configure them. So that's a great start, and what I wanted to do was get you to this point in the course with that foundational knowledge so that this section of the course isn't too overwhelming, because this is quite a big subject. So what we're going to do now is build on the knowledge that you already have, and we're actually going to stop using the default VPC. We're actually going to create a new custom VPC, and this is exactly what we're going to create. So I'm using the Sydney region. We have 3 availability zones. So what I want to do is I want to create a public and a private subnet in each of the availability zones. And I will have a separate route table for each of those. Now this isn't the IP CIDR range I'm going to use, but this is just the icon that AWS have for a route table. What we are going to use is this IP range, so 10.0.0.0/16. And our public route table will have a route locally so that it can route anything within that CIDR block, and it will have a route out to an internet gateway for any destination address. And for the private route table, we'll also have the local entry so that we can route locally, and that means locally as in within any of these subnets that are part of this CIDR block. And the outbound destination will be any, and it will go to a NAT gateway. So that's the way that we get our private subnet instances to talk out through a NAT gateway and eventually through the internet gateway to the internet, because remember, these private instances will not have public IP addresses. So that's their way to get access to the internet for whatever purposes, updating packages, application requirements, whatever it might be. So let's get on with it. Let's go over to the management console, and we're going to choose VPC. And we're simply going to go into your VPCs and click Create VPC. And I'm just going to call this My VPC. And now we need to specify the CIDR block. So I'm going to specify 10.0.0.0/16. And you can look up different CIDR blocks that you can use. This is a private range, so it's one that I can use. And what I'll do then is a /16, which then gives me the ability to create /24 subnets within it. So I'll then do 10.0.1 and 10.0.2 and 10.0.3 and so on with a /24 mask for the individual subnets within this VPC. And if you don't understand CIDR blocks and subnetting, there's lots of great articles on the internet, so I suggest you go and have a look. Now we can also enable IPv6 by choosing Amazon provided IPv6 CIDR block. So you can specify tenancy options here, and you can choose default or dedicated. And what this means is it overrides whatever is specified at launch for the instance. And so that could be that you're on shared hardware, which is the default, or that you're on dedicated hardware, which is obviously more expensive, but may be required for some kind of compliance. And so this is really referring to stuff like EC2 instances when you launch them. And like I say, this will provide a default for your VPC. Now I'm just going to leave it at default. So that's it. We've just created the VPC, but now we need to go and configure it. So we can see down here we've got an IPv6 CIDR block assigned, the IPv4 CIDR block, and we can see some information about DHCP option sets, and it's already got a value selected there. We've got a route table, We've got default tenancy. It's not a default VPC. And we can see something around DNS resolution and DNS host names. So if you look on the default VPC, you'll see that those are both enabled. Whereas on the custom VPC, DNS host names is not enabled. Now this attribute indicates whether instances with public IP addresses get a corresponding public DNS host name. So you remember when we've launched EC2 instances into public subnets, the DNS host name is provided, which contains the IP address as part of the name. So as long as you set this to true, those type of host names will be generated. I want to do that for this, so I'm just going to go in and select DNS host names enable. And that's all we need to do in there. So the next thing I want to do is create my subnets. So I'm going to create my private subnet, I'm going to create my public subnets first, and I'm going to label them such that I know which availability zone they're in. I choose my VPC, I'm going to choose 2A, and I'm going to do 10.0.1.0/24. And I'm going to select to assign custom IPv6, and I'm just going to put a number in there, and I'm going to increment that for each subnet. And I'm just going to repeat that now for the other two subnets. So I need to select each one of these now and enable auto assign, and you see we have an IPv4 and 6 option. And now I'm just going to repeat that for the other two subnets. And that's it. So we now have those public addresses. We can see, those public subnets. We can see the IPv4 and 6 CIDR blocks, how many available IPv4 addresses. Amazon reserves a number of addresses, so you won't get the full amount of addresses in your subnet. And we can see that this time it's not a default subnet. So now let's go and create our private subnet. So we're going to do private 2A. And so we're going to be 10.0.4.0/24. And we can give this IP addresses as well. And I've just repeated that action to complete the other two private subnets. So what I want to do next is create a route table. Now you'll see that there is a route table that's being created here. So if I just expand here, you can see this is my VPC, and we have a route table. It's going to have the IPv4 and v6 CIDR blocks here, and it doesn't have any subnet associations. But what we can do is we can go in to here first, and we can select our public subnets. So public 2A, 2B, and 2C. And we've got those. And now let's create a route table. And I'm going to call this private-RT. We put it in our VPC and click create. And I'm now going to select the private route table, and I'm going to put our private subnets in. And what we need to do now is create the internet gateways and the NAT gateways. And this is going to be my internet gateway for my custom VPC, so I'm going to call it my VPC-IGW. And we then need to go into it and attach it to the VPC. And that's all we need to do to enable it. We then need to go to the route table, and we're going to use, let's just give this a label to make it absolutely clear. So this is the public route table. So I'm just going to call it public RT because I've associated it with my public subnets only. And now I can add a route into here, which is to any destination address. And we choose Internet Gateway, and there's the Internet Gateway. And now let's go down to NAT gateways, and we're going to create a NAT gateway. Now remember, the really important thing with a NAT gateway is you need to put it into a public subnet. So we're going to choose my VPC public to A. And we're going to allocate an elastic IP address and create the NAT gateway. We can now go back to route tables and choose our private route table and edit routes. And again, we choose the any destination address and we go choose NAT gateway, and there's our NAT gateway. Click save. So that's it. That's all the configuration that we wanted to do. We've got the NAT gateway, the internet gateway. We've configured our route tables for our private subnets and our public subnets. And we've specified the targets for the internet gateway and the NAT gateway in those route tables. So let's now go to EC2, and we're just going to check all this is working by provisioning a couple of instances. So let's launch the first instance into our public subnet. So we've got to choose the correct VPC. Then we've got to choose our public. I'm going to put it in public 2A, and you can see that auto assign IP is set to the subnet setting, which is enable, and I don't need to do anything else on there. Let's go down, and what we want to do is create a new security group because we don't have one now. So let's call this web access. And we only need SSH22. So let's review, launch, and we can use our same key pair. And now we're going to go and do the same thing, but we're going to create one in the private subnet. So choose your VPC, choose your private subnet. Select the web access security group with SSH access, and then launch. So let's have a look now and see if the instance that we launched into our public availability zone is accessible. And we can see that it has the public DNS name, and this is for IPv4, and a public IP address. It then has a public IPv6 address, but there's no public DNS address for IPv6 here. Now what we can do is we can go to Route 53 and we can actually, let's go back and just copy our IPv6 address, and I can go into Route 53 and I can use my hosted zone here, and I'm going to create a record, and it's going to be an IPv6 address, which is the AAAA type, and I'm just going to call it testing, and I'm going to put in my IPv6 address. And now what I can do is I can use the dig command and do testing.dctlabs.com, specify the type, and then just put in short to reduce the amount of information that's returned. And there we go. So we got a DNS resolution from testing.dctlabs.com to our IPv6 address. So that's all I wanted to do with that. I'm just going to delete this record. And let's go back to instances, and I'm going to grab the public IP address. And we're going to secure shell into this instance. But we're going to do so with the -A, which forwards on the information that we need in the keychain to be able to then connect to our private instance. So I'm now on that instance. Clearly this one is connected to the internet because I'm actually connected to it from the internet, but just to prove to you, so that means the internet gateway is working. We're getting a response from google.com. And now I just want to secure shell from there to my private instance. So this is the one launched into the private subnet. You can see it's only got a private IP address and a private DNS address. So I'm going to SSH into that instance. And that works, so we know that the routing is working correctly. And let's see now, is the NAT gateway working correctly? And it is. We're getting a response. So that's it. We now have this configuration working, and we've proven that this architecture is set up correctly. Now, the only thing I'm going to do at the end of this lab now is I just want to, well, firstly, we want to terminate our instances. So let's just go and terminate those. We don't need those anymore. But I'm also going to get rid of the NAT gateway, because the NAT gateway does actually cost money. And I don't need to have it running at this stage. So let's go to NAT gateways and delete the NAT gateway. And that's going to be deleting. And then what I want to do is go to my elastic IPs. So let's just see what we can do with our elastic IPs. I'm going to select each one individually. That one I can release. This one I can release. And let's have a look at this one. And that can be released as well. So make sure you get rid of your elastic IPs. You will pay for them if they're not being used. And that's it for this lab, guys. Hope you had a good time. We're going to keep the rest of the configuration for the custom VPC because we're going to be using that in subsequent labs.